Somebody call for an exterminator.
Got to win this one if he wants to move to the semifinals. The winner of this match will move on 1-0 for sinking. And this match will be played on Medusa. Like I said last match, when I thought it was Medusa, but it was really Return of the King. Both use this like Twilight map set. So that's kind of what threw me off, but looks like we have Fantasy up here at the 3 o'clock position in purple, and down here at the sort of 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock position we have Mind in red. Both players are Terran. And I am hoping that this will not be a hideously long match. Terran matches usually tend to really drag out. I'm not sure why that is, it's just the way it goes. When mech is being built up, it takes a long time to get the mech out. But the player who gets the most mech out usually wins, or the most dropships. But we'll see if either of the players will go for something a little bit creative here. I think Fantasy has got to deviate a little bit from standard Terran play if he wants to take this, because he played fairly standardly the last match and just I mean, Mind saw that he had one weakness, that he had gone for his command center first before getting a ton of factories out, and Mind said, well, okay, I'll just put a bunch of tanks out in front of his expansion, which he did, and Fantasy was not able to come back after that, really. I mean, he got his base right below his main, but other than that, he couldn't move out because there were just turrets everywhere. Mind playing one of the best contained games I've ever seen, to be honest. And we have Fantasy up here. He has a supply depot up. He is checking for cheese. Very good idea to check for some kind of crazy bunker thing, like what Flash said, what Flash did to Bisu. And it looks like Mind might be going for the fast expand this time. Hope it works out for him. And both players are going for fast expand, so Fantasy not being scared off by that last match. I think Mind might have thought that he scared Fantasy out of expanding this time, but Fantasy is not playing too nervously here. He's going for his expansion. Neither player has scouted the other, but there are only 3 positions, so it doesn't really take too long to scout the other person on this map. There is Mind putting up his barracks and his gas. Mind is, looks like, yeah, Fantasy putting up his gas and his barracks as well. Mirror matchup so far. Nothing much to speak of. Excuse me. There's another supply depot for Mind. I don't think we're going to see either player push out for a while yet, but Mind is probably going to get the scout in the right direction here. He's going to scout first, so that'll give him a little bit of an advantage that he can use in his favor. He's going to know that Fantasy is also going for that fast expansion. Fantasy already transferring some SCVs over, so now Mind knows that Fantasy has his expansion. He can adjust his strategy accordingly, and Fantasy is pretty much in the dark right now. There's Mind putting up his factory. There's Fantasy putting up his factory at the exact same time. There's the Marine to chase Mind away from Fantasy's base. Not quite successful. Mind is able to get a little bit of a scout on that bunker there. And there are 2 factories coming up for Fantasy. Not much to speak of here. Well, again, like I said, TVT is not my favorite matchup. Usually the beginning is just a bunch of expanding and building up mech, which can take about 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes even 40 minutes. And then the big battle usually comes in the middle, between tanks and vultures, and sometimes Goliaths if there's a lot of dropships out. I think the player that will win is probably going to be the one that gets the most dropships out here. I think dropships will work very well on this map, since there are only 3 positions. You don't have to worry about a whole lot of flanking, being picked off by anything. But we'll see what happens. Again, not a whole lot going on here. There's one of Mine's Marines taking out Fantasy Scout, but Fantasy did get the Scout into Mine's base. But both guys are going for about the same build right now, so that Scout isn't going to help him a whole lot. You see Mine moving out to get another Scout. Going to be halted pretty quickly by this small Marine force. Mine manages to keep his SCV alive. He might be able to sneak it in later for another Scout, if he can hide it somewhere for now. But the barracks meeting up in the middle here. And it looks like Mine might be trying another aggressive little push here. I don't think Fantasy's going to let his guard down in this match, though. I don't think he's going to let himself be contained like he was the last match. And there's not really any way that could happen anyway, since both players went for their expansion first before committing to a lot of factories. There's the machine shop spinning for both players. Pretty damn close matchup here. These guys got the same number of units, and it's almost like looking at a mirror image here of each other. There are more tanks coming out for both players. Each is keeping the other's barracks at bay. And there are Mine's tanks sitting down there in wait. Looks like Fantasy's going to try a little bit of a flank maneuver maybe. Going to try to come up from the top or maybe sneak around that small group in the middle.